The only thing I have left to say is, boo, 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 boo. It's time to get into Westside Gunn's. Flygod is an awesome god, and indeed, he is an awesome god. Westside Gunn, Buffalo MC, founder of Griselda Records. We've been talking about this guy to death because he is one of my favorite upcoming.
Keeps releasing.
He just
music
keeps on releasing music. He's one of my favorite upcoming artists at the moment. He has an upcoming debut with Shady Records on the horizon with his friend Benny the Butcher, his brother Conway the Machine, his acquaintance Benny the Butcher,
all of him and Westside and his
deli
buddies.
provider Benny the Butcher.
Westside and friends are gonna release an album, and eventually this album's gonna come out. We're not gonna be able to say debut with Shady Records on the horizon.
He put out a terrific second studio album, Supreme Buy and Tell, last year. Had just this very surreal, dark dream jazz and soul samples being played throughout, as long as this villainous high-pitched voice with these very bassy ad-libs, which I really enjoyed. He had terrific tracks like WrestleMania 20 featuring Anderson .Paak, Amherst Station, Brassface Bippler with Benny the Butcher, and a bassy and raspy Busta Rhymes. That man seemed sick of how hard he was going. He was just like mucusy, which I really enjoyed.
I really like the end where he just coughed up a lung.
Yeah. Also, RVD with the very sultry Keisha Plum, who appears on this as well. He put out a mixtape in 2018, Hitler Wears Hermes 6. It was a very low-key mixtape that continued to showcase Gunn's personality. Not as thorough with the songwriting production, though. A more traditional idea of what a mixtape is, something that is to fill the gap between major releases. This new record, which is a studio album, is Flygod is an Awesome God. It has production from Derringer, Alchemist, J.R. Switch, Danny LaFleur, Madlib, Sadu Gold, Al Divino, Evidence, and DJ Muggs, some top-tier producers. Of course, Alchemist, Madlib, Evidence, DJ Muggs, some of my favorite producers appear on this thing. Even a recent favorite of mine, Sadu Gold, who produced a lot of the tracks on the recent Earl Droog track. It wasn't even, or Earl Droog album, it wasn't even close. Produced some of my favorite tracks off that. Okay, going over this thing. It's around 30 minutes. It's 12 tracks. And for the most part, I feel like it feels more like a mixtape. I like this. I feel like Westside Gunn's character is undeniable. I think he comes off as complete villainous in this weird style. I love the wrestling references that he's still throwing in, these really long wrestling samples. I don't care if they're long. Or they range from short to long and sometimes pointless, but I really do enjoy them throughout. I love how he says he's going to, like, instead of just saying he's going to shoot someone, he's going to pile drive them onto the apron and break their neck. That's great. I love the sense of villainy he's providing with the wrestling side, like he did on Supreme Blind Tell, which he was personifying Chris Benoit, which was interesting. I just feel like on this, the main problem is some of his hooks aren't as good. They just seem like freestyle flows that really don't work. And I feel like this thing is a little bit repetitive with its production, even though its production is really good. I think the loops on here were given is really good, but they just stretch out for too long, and some of these tracks seem too long. And the more tracks that seem too long aren't the ones with features on them. They're more the ones where it's just Westside Gunn. Some tracks are too short, some tracks are too long. But I do think the end section from the 9-track Amherst Station 3 to the 12-track Lakers and Rockets is just perfect bite-sized fun, where we're getting these terrific beats. We get a production moment from Madlib on the track Gunnlib. He also does production of Ferragamo Funeral earlier on, and I think those two moments are just beautiful, luscious, surround sound moments where we get encapsulated into the character of Westside Gunn, and it brings this kind of haze, which I really, really like to Westside Gunn's character, this sort of off villainous, this dreamy villainous sense where you don't think it's that sharp, but you'll turn around and he'll hit you with a super kick. He's the Shawn Michaels of rap game. He doesn't look like he's a badass, but he is a badass. Some favorite moments on mine: Sensational Sherri, where he says my Mac that sensational Sherri. How Sensational Sherri, the manager for Macho Man Randy Savage, and I think also Shawn Michaels at one point maybe. How it she is going to be how his manager is just his Mac, and how he's going to go around. It just gives me the idea that he's Macho Man Randy Savage. He's just going around shooting people in these very luxurious, very off kiltered, colorful clothing items. I just think it would be really interesting. And he repeatedly just goes, "I do this shit in real life." That was Danny Brown. I'm sorry. That was a Westside Gunn. That was Danny Brown. Moments like Lunchin with Keisha Plum, where he just goes through this narrative of throwing this guy in the shower with the chainsaw, and then the cocaine war, give up the wraps, take the chain off, boom, 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 boom. Really interesting. It shows that, it gives almost like a noir effect to it, where you just sense that urgency, that darkness in it, which is really cool. And then one of the weirdest lines on this project is from Hologram, and it's one of the weirdest lines I've heard all year on the track Thousand Shock Mac is, "She queef melodically in Greek mythology." I don't know if that's good.
It doesn't even make sense.
Is it worse bad, or is it...
I think it's just dumb.
Dumb? Not Big Sean
But
bad?
it's not like bad.
It's not Big Sean bad?
It's not like... It's not an inherently bad line. It's just dumb because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I like the features from Keisha Plum on this thing. I think at first I didn't really care for a feature on Supreme Blind Tell, but it's grown on me, and I like the pairing. She's almost like a Greek chorus type sort thing, where she's this ambient figure that kind of reigns outside everything and kind of sums up what's going on. But I feel like she's very luscious and works with Westside Gunn's style. I like... Benny seems like he's still not villainous. He's still hectic. He's still hungry on this track. He comes off completely rampage. He's on a rampage on a lot of these tracks, which is nice. On the tracks he's featured. And then I really like Conway and Mayhem. I think they do good jobs. I think everyone that's on this does a great work with everything. But I feel like the big problem is kind of Westside Gunn, and the fact that not just Westside Gunn, but a lot of these productions do feel like they loop on a little bit too long, and it does feel more like a mixtape. And there isn't a lot of narrative or flowing ideas other than just wrestling. I think he does talk too much about guns on this thing. I think it's a bit repetitive. That is his Pusha thing on this thing. That is his cocaine on this. It's just mentioning Max and guns and weaponry a lot throughout this entire thing. What do you think, Trevor?
I thought this was a really decent project. I really have liked everything that Westside Gunn has put out up until this point. Like, I don't think that I've really disliked anything that he's made. But I really did wish that there was a little more of an overarching theme. Like we mentioned on Supreme Blind Tell, it felt very, very dark and very dreamlike and very... consolidated in a way. It was definitely longer than this, but also the story and the overarching kind of themes made a lot of sense. But on here, I feel like there's not like a huge overarching theme. I do think there are a lot of like really interesting ideas on here. Look at the first track, July 27th, with Raekwon, the chef, talking about he's just kind of like given... I don't know. He feels more like a Greek chorus kind of thing. Feels like a very interesting like opening track where he's sitting there just like, what if Conway never got shot?
No, that's Keisha Plum.
Oh, that's Keisha Plum. You're right. Well, I feel like Raekwon at the beginning he's talking about like, I would never like give this up. He's talking about like how you should be silent, more silent and listen more, but also keep your ground, stand your ground. Right. He's like giving advice. Almost.
And it also feels like a nice passing of the torch moment from a Wu-Tang member to a Griselda Records member, which is interesting.
I think that's really cool. I wish he had more of like a feature on here.
Yeah.
But I think that like the name recognition on here, back to what I was saying though, with Keisha Plum talking about like, what if Conway never got shot? Like, what if this never happened? I thought that was a really cool moment as well, talking about like, there are like bad things that are happening and just like really shitty things that can happen in your life, but everything plays into it for a reason. It's like Conway, I don't think would be where he is had he not gotten shot. He wouldn't be as memorable. He wouldn't be as popular.
And it's also the butterfly effect of where would he be?
Right. So I think that was really cool. Going to Gunnlib, the Madlib track towards the end, I think it's just absolute Westside Gunn perfection.
Yeah.
He's over this like really soulful beat, that like
This
right on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, the
Yeah. And then I mean, Westside Gunn's just going to town, and then at the end, the wrestling.
The Miz, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just think that pairing's very cool, and I'm glad that we're getting a few Mad Lib moments on here, and I hope I like that it's the track's called Gunnlib because it gives some idea that maybe this will have some more collaboration on future projects.
I really hope it does. I wish that the whole record could be as perfectly paired as that.
Yeah.
I feel like that in less than 2 minutes perfectly sums up Westside Gunn, what he's about and like what he should be doing. And I think that like the whole record I think is a lot of fun. I truly did enjoy it, even like how short it was and how kind of scattered it might be. I think I will give this like a pretty positive score. I still really did enjoy it, but Gunnlib was just a moment of perfection in a sea of like kind of scattered thoughts, and I wish that everything could be like that.
Yeah, going back to a moment I really want to mention real fast, Dance Floor Love. I feel like that also personifies Westside Gunn in like a 2-minute nature. I like that very luscious beat. I like how we're getting see this more loving side of Westside Gunn, but he still does stand his ground. He still is villainous. He still has this crime-ridden demeanor to him, which is really interesting. I just wanted to bring that up real fast. But yeah, keep in mind that I'll score. Actually, do you think this is a central project?
I think so.
I don't know. I feel like it just feels a little bit too much like a mixtape for me to think that.
You think so?
But do you think it is? It's not what I think. It's what you think.
I just as a project, maybe not. But there are definitely a lot of
There's a lot of good moments.
There are a lot of really great moments that I'm sure I'll return to.
Yeah. Keep in mind that all scores are futile and meaningless. Right now, I'm feeling a 7 on this.
I'm also feeling a 7.
But I did enjoy it, and I think I'm more excited to see what Westside Gunn and Grills Elder Records have in the canon, and I hope it's that Shady Records debut. I hope we finally come to see to that, because I'm really excited to see what that is. And we see the obligatory Eminem feature where he's like, Harrison Ford under floorboards. Yeah, that's it.